Hey, welcome back guys, and our next destination is over at the shipyard. And you can mark it with a beacon just so it makes your travel a little bit easier. One thing I didn't really make note of earlier is while you are on your boat, you actually have a cannon. And it's quite similar to, say, like Phantom Hourglass. You can just aim your cannon at the various obstacles and enemies that you're going to encounter, and you can just shoot at them. For the most part, there's only really two enemies here. There's Water Spoon. We've already fought the Magma Spoon and the Electro Spoon, so the Water Spoon are really not that difficult at all. There's also some Bokoblin archers, as well as just barrels that get in your way. For the most part, you're better off just riding right on by and not even bothering with any of the enemies or even using the cannon at all. Anyway, we will eventually arrive here at the shipyard, and as you can see, it's like a minecart land world, and like why anybody would design a shipyard like this is beyond me, but it does make for a lot of fun in a video game. So after talking with the skipper here, we'll find that the building to the construction bay is locked, or the door is, so we'll have to go the long way. Oh, how inconvenient, of course. So we're gonna have to travel along all those little rails that you see. Anyway, Skipper mentions the Minecart Station, which is just off to your right, and that's going to be our next destination, as that's going to eventually lead us to the location where we want to go. So just run on ahead, and there's a bird statue here, so you can save at the shipyard. At any point while you're at any of these like stops along the Sand Sea, you could return to the sky if you'd really like to, but there's really not much reason to. There are two Lizalfos over here. My suggestion is run away. Don't bother with them. Or you can kill them, like so. You don't have to, and they're easily avoidable since you can just continue up the ramp. They do give you the lizard tails, but this is one of the treasures. You just don't need too many of them to begin with. In fact, you only need 7 of them in total throughout your whole quest just to get all the upgrades, and we've already fought several of them in the Earth Temple, and we're going to fight a new variety of them in a later dungeon, so you naturally fight enough of them without having to really grind away for lizard tails. Anyway, jump on the minecart, and this takes you on somewhat of a roller coaster ride of sorts. You're basically on this minecart, and it's basically like a roller coaster track ahead of you. There's a few control mechanics you need to worry about. Number 1, if your cart is ever like falling off to the left, just hold the Wiimote to the right, or tilt it to the right, lean it to the right a little bit, so that you can balance yourself back onto the track. On tight turns, if there's a turn to the right and you lean to the right, you'll be able to pick up speed that way. Alternatively, at any point you can just hold down B to slow down and go a little bit slower on the minecart. The first track is incredibly linear. There's no turns, there's nothing, there's no real obstacles at all. And in fact, if you go really slow, there's nothing to worry about at all. There's some Arakas here, so go ahead and defeat them, and make a right, and you will find another minecart. Now, this second like roller coaster ride is significantly more difficult, much for the reason as there are now a couple of different obstacles. Number 1, there are dead ends. Number 2, there are turns, and like over here, there's a fork in the track, and you have to hold the direction you want to go. So I just held right, and I turned to the right. And there's these like jumps, and you'll have to like sort of shake the nunchuck in order to stay on the railway. And over there was another fork in the road. If I went to the right, it leads to sort of like a big X, a dead end, and you'll just sail off into into the sand, and you'll have to basically start over. It does get a little fast. You could at any point just press B to slow down. However, you will need to have some sort of speed towards the end for the jumps. If you're going incredibly slow, you're not going to be able to make it across the jumps. So that's really the only concern about the speed. Otherwise, throughout the bulk portion of this like roller coaster ride, you can just go slow if you really are struggling. Anyway, once you reach the very end of the coaster ride, you'll find a bird statue here. And while this is not actually a warp point, it is a save location. And well, it's a save location for a specific region. And there's also a stool, or a series of stools nearby, which you can sit down to restore your health if you need any. Sort of signs of what's to come, in a way. But here we are at the actual construction bay, and Fi will jump in and mention that over time the area has filled up with dust. So it's, of course, we should go and investigate to see if we can find anything. Not dust, but sand has filled up. Anyway, jump down into the sand, and you can pull out your gust bellows. I mean, that's how we get rid of sand, isn't it? And there's like the little hump in the middle of the sand that sort of like stands out. But go ahead and use your gust bellows, and a Molder Rock, or the Molder Rock. I guess it's just another one, or the 1,000-year, I think that's what they're called. So I guess there's not this particular boss or large overworld enemy now at this point. There's multiple ones of it, and it's not unique just to the one dungeon. Anyway, the battle is just as it was before. In fact, it's a lot easier because, number one, we have more health, and number two, we have upgraded our sword. It's now longer and more powerful, so this boss battle is not nearly as difficult as it was in the Lanayru mining facility. In general, it's just kind of sweet that they decided to include another boss battle with Molder Rock as sort of like an overworld boss battle. It's kind of unique. It's not really something that's common in the Zelda series, so it was nice to see it. Anyway, the boss battle is still identical. You want to slash away at its pincers first, using just directional sword slashes, and then afterwards you want to use jabs to hit its like, I guess that's an eye at the central part of its body, or sort of almost like its face, I guess. Yeah, that attack is still damaging, so you still want to be somewhat careful, but every time it burrows underground, just use your gust bells to bring him on board. And one thing I realized I did is, after fighting the Furnace over at Skipper's Retreat, I seemingly forgot to ever equip a shield once again. I don't even recall when I remembered to re-equip one, but anyway, it seems that coming to the construction bay was a complete waste, because there is nothing here for us at all. So it was just a a fun little roller coaster ride. We got to enjoy the rides and then fight a boss again. So I guess it was a cool stop along the Lanayru Sand Sea, but that's pretty much going to do it for this area, and that's actually pretty much going to do it for this video. So run on over and speak with Skipper, and we will jump back on the boat, and we're going to navigate the rest of the sea in the next video before reaching the next dungeon. See you guys then.